there, Squirrel Army, it's another Murders at Karloff Manor, and this is the Deep Clue C Commander Deck Upgrade Guide.
You can join the Squirrel Army by subscribing.
Alright, so this is the Bant, or Bant, or however you want to say it, blue, white, and green Commander deck that we're going to have an upgrade of. I'm going to have a quick look at the commander and some of the cards that are in this deck and have a look and see what we kind of need for this deck to build it up and make it a whole lot better. Alrighty, so I've already discussed this commander, so I'm not going to spend much time again in this video discussing it. If you want to see a more detailed breakdown, there should be a card or whatever coming up above my head somewhere, unless I've forgotten, so in which case just yell at me and tell me, hey, you forgot the card. It is a fairly recent video anyway, as with all of them. But yeah, do tell me, but I won't be discussing this because I've already done so in a previous video. Alright, so I've gone to find the deck list for this, and of course you guys, if you wish to, can find the deck list for yourselves as well. You don't really need to, but if you really want to, you can, so I can have a look at this deck and figure out what I want to fiddle with it, but I still don't think this is the best way to look at it. I think this paints a better picture of these decks because you can just see what the cards are and what they do. And not have to go off your memory of, especially when there's new cards, because, yeah, a lot of new cards are hard to remember for a long time, because anyone says the name of the card, I'm not going to remember what it does for months, probably, or whatever. I know what the effect is on the card. Once you start saying, oh, it does this, this, oh, okay, it's that card, I know what that is. But, like, for weeks, like, lots of people just don't know the names of new cards. So, you have to cut some slack there. But anyway, yes, I will have a look through this and get back to it and show you guys what I think you should cut and what I think you should add. Alrighty, so I went through and tinkered with this deck list and came out with what I think we should cut and what I think we should add. Before I get going too far into this one, if you're not super duper interested in hearing me say what I've cut and what I've not cut and what I'm putting in and all that sort of stuff, check out the deck list down there in the description. I know some people just want to see the deck list and figure it all out for themselves and go from there, so you guys can do that if you want. But for those people who do want to sit here and sort of hear more about like what's out and what's in and why, I'll go through it as fast as what I can. I'm not going to talk about lands. I don't know whether I talked about lands in some of the other ones at all, just saying, hey, I'm not going to talk about lands, but I can't remember. They all blur together, honestly. But I didn't change anything in the lands these times because I just couldn't be bothered. Because you guys should know the drill. Take out the bad tap lands. Put any good untapped duels you have in, or any other good utility lands or whatever else, and then go from there. Like, if you don't have anything, don't worry about putting anything in. You can just put basics in, whatever. It's all cool. Alright, so first cut, Low of Tides, or Flow of the Tides, whatever. It's not bad, but I'm not interested, or I don't think we should be interested in these like one-off effects. Like, yes, we can copy it and, you know, do that whole thing, but you know, I don't know about that. Like, we're not going to put that much stuff in our graveyard, like, so, like, we're hoping people board wipe us, or mill us, I don't know, like, or we just hope we're discarding cards, I don't know, like, that seems like a bad idea, so even though it does do something that we want, doesn't, like, do enough. Hornet Queen, it's not really that good, it doesn't really do anything, it's not a horrible creature, but, like, we can just find better, so just don't need it. Idol of Oblivion, like, again, I don't think we really need it. We've got a fair amount of card draw in this deck. Yes, it becomes a 10-10 or whatever. I don't think we care about that. That's fine. So I'm sure we've got much better than we can do than this as well. Coma is one of the better cards that I've got here. It really doesn't just do anything with our strategy. It's a really good card though, but like I don't see us really getting enough time to really be able to sacrifice things and control the board like this. It takes a lot of setup to really do a whole lot, despite how good it kind of is, but yeah, I don't think we've kind of got that with this deck. It's already a pretty darn slow deck, and in some decks it's alright to slow down even more. But in this deck, I don't think it is. You're already super slow. You need more ways to like crack in and just win out of nowhere. The production, it's not bad if you put it on a clue and generate a clue every turn, but that's kind of about it. It doesn't really do a whole lot. It can do some stuff, but it doesn't really do enough, I don't think. And like, again, auras just die super easy anyway, so as soon as the thing dies or whatever, you crack your clue, whatever, it's gone. So I don't like these ransom note things. They're not horrible. Well, I say that, but they're not horrible, I guess. So, you know, like, I'm just not super stoked with them. I probably should have took it out of all the decks, honestly, but I didn't really have another thing to put in there. But I guess you could take something else in that maybe board that I had there and put it back in if you really want in some of those other decks, but whatever. Overwhelm Masteries, like, if this said non-token permanent or whatever, then maybe we could think about it, but we've got that many token permanents that we're sacrificing, and we're not really sacrificing non-tokens, so it kind of really doesn't do anything. We're hoping people board wipe us, and then we have a few clues. I don't know, like, that doesn't seem like that's a real game plan. So I just, like, if you're hard up on these sorts of effects, yes, it could do something if you're deciding to go down some sort of sacrifice route as well in the deck, but I think it's got enough other payoffs for it anyway that you don't need this. Alright. What I decided to add. Bygone Bishop. I don't know how much. Actually, let's have a look. How much is 3 or less? Most of our deck is like 3 or so. Like, a lot of our stuff is at 3 and 2. Like, we still have 4 drops and such and whatnot as well. But still, yeah, that seems alright. We can get a clue whenever we cast a 3 or less creature. That's alright. That's pretty good. The Crafter, it basically lets us crack at any artifact to draw a card and put a +1 counter on a creature. So that's pretty good because, again, that's kind of what our clues do. They sack to draw a card, but our commander puts counters on itself or whatever. But now we actually have a way for our commander to sack those things throughout rather than just sacking them as clues. Though, again, you don't honestly want to sack them too much, but again, you sort of have to in this deck to a degree. Jaheira, we've got the other thing that's in here that lets us tap artifacts for mana. This will let us tap our artifacts for mana without having to sacrifice them, so that'll help us out quite a bit in a lot of circumstances, so really useful. There's a few of the new Clue set cards that I saw. I don't know when these come out or whatever, so you're going to have to like wait to see when these. I think they might be in the secret layer. I don't know. Like, I never know these things. Like, Wizards is horrible with telling us how these things exist. I think sometimes, but whatever. Lavinia, when we cast our second spell, we investigate, so that's pretty alright. Vigilance, whatever. I can take it or leave it. And then we can tap it for mana, 2 mana, but only during an opponent's turn. That's not bad. So yeah. Witty Illusionist, we cast our second spell. We get a 1/1 illusion that gets +1/+0 for each illusion we have. That's going to stack up really quickly. And if an illusion dies, we can put a permanent from our hand that's mana value equal to its power onto the battlefield, so it's alright, I guess. The Peacock, all artifacts are clues in addition to their other types, so we can pay 2 to sacrifice them and draw, and when we sacrifice a clue, a target creature can't be blocked this turn. So, our commander. That seems pretty good. But then again, like when you do it multiple times, probably not that good. But still, like you're still gonna maybe do that. Like sometimes when you don't have clues or whatever, things like that. Counselor 4. When a player draws the second card during their turn, you draw a card. Whenever a player casts their second spell during their turn, you create a 2/2 White Knight creature token. So this does work on us as well. So we want to sort of get some amount of card drawing in it off of this, sometimes off of our opponents, but we're going to get this off of ourselves. Yes, it doesn't work on our opponent's turn when we're casting stuff or whatever, or when our opponents are casting stuff on our opponent's turns, but still, it's all right. It does some stuff that we would like. Actually, I do think that you probably want to invest in putting some of the mana rocks in here that say you have no maximum hand size as well. And maybe, I don't know whether the land's in here. Oh, Reliquary Tower is in here, so... But yeah, putting those cards in here that say if you have no maximum hand size will be very good for this deck because, again, they're both mana rocks, or the other two are mana rocks. And, yeah, that really will help out. Yes, sometimes you might want to sack them or whatever, but still, like, 9 times out of 10, they'll be pretty good as well. But those are the only 2 cards that I didn't really add. I didn't, like... None of these, like, mana rocks are, like, super duper amazing, like, mostly, like the talismans, like, Simic Signet, Mystifying Glass is okay, like, the Sanctuary, we need the Sanctuary, and even the, like, Azorius Signet isn't too amazing. Arcane Signet we can obviously keep and whatnot, but, like, there's some there that aren't too amazing, so you could cut one of those, or 2 of those for those 2 pretty easily. But beyond that, there's not much else that I think... Like, there is some stuff that this deck could use, but I think it's pretty good, actually. It's a pretty cool deck, honestly. But you do need lots of ways to win, which is kind of why I put in all these sort of token generators and whatnot, because there's just so... Like, you need ways to win. You need ways to pressure people's life totals and kill people. So, yeah. But that is the list. You guys can let me know what you thought. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below. Hope you've enjoyed it one way or the other, and hope you'll join me again in another one.